Mr.
All right, guys, we have a video here. Apparently, JD Vance was in Germany. I didn't watch this video, so let's check it out. Every single person I've met that was German has been really touchy on the topic of like anything alt-right. It's like you say anything like that, and it's like, oh, this is like some Nazi shit, and they like immediately like get mad at you. He made Yogmoth's bargain? Let's see it. I want to see Yogmoth's bargain.
Well, thank you. And thanks to all the gathered delegates and luminaries and media professionals. And thanks especially to the host of the Munich Security Conference for being able to put on such an incredible event. We're, of course, thrilled to be here. We're happy to be here. And, you know, one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is...
I'm telling you guys, this guy, for me, he came out of nowhere. Like, I did not care about him. I was a little skeptical when, you know, he came on the main stage. Now I think he's like the fucking best. He's so good.
Our shared values. And, you know,
where the hell did this guy come from,
Germany,
you know?
As you heard earlier.
No one was talking about him before.
I was here last year as United States Senator. I saw Foreign Secretary David Lammy and joked that both of us...
Yeah, it's like when Trump picked him, I was like, really? Like, who the fuck is that? Right? And then now I see why. I'm like, damn, that was a really good pick.
Last year had different jobs than we have now. But now it's time for all of our countries, for all of us who have been fortunate enough to be given political power by our respective peoples, to use it wisely to improve their lives. And I want to say that, you know, I was fortunate in my time here to spend some time outside the walls of this conference over the last 24 hours. And I've been so impressed by the hospitality.
He was a Trump hater that turned Trump supporter. I'm fine with that. Again, I'm not like super Puritan. I mean, I'm a little bit skeptical, but I'm not like, dude, that guy said something bad about Trump. Fuck him. Like, never. I'm not like that. And it's kind of weird. I see a lot of people being like that.
Of the people, even as, of course, as they're reeling from yesterday's horrendous attack.
Like, I can be friends with people and like agree with people on, like, for instance, if somebody says something, like somebody says something I agree with, right? And I see this like so many times. Like, you'll be like, this person says like 90% what I agree with, but the 10%, yeah, fuck them. Fuck them. They're a raging leftist, like, raging alt-right person. Like, dude, they said that one thing. Fuck them. Like, what the hell, dude? Are you serious? Like,
and the first time I was ever in Munich was with my wife, actually, who's here with me today, on a personal trip. And I've always loved the city of Munich, and I've always loved its people. And all
right, good. This is some context on JD Vance, apparently. He came from a broken home. Mom was a druggie, raised by grandma in Appalachia, went to Ivy League. He earned... Damn, really? Is there any topic you disagree with a person that you cannot be friends with? It's not really them believing something. It's more them having the inability to talk about what they believe in with any sort of logic, any sense of logic at all. There's not much that could get me to be like not friends with a person. I guess if they were like flat out satanic, then maybe I couldn't. You know, like if they were like, yeah, if they were like, I love Satan or something like that, I'd probably be like, I don't know about that. The one that I have trouble really grasping with is like, actually, never mind. I don't want to talk about it.
that we're very moved, and our thoughts and prayers are with Munich and everybody affected by the evil inflicted on this beautiful.
So a groomer is okay, Leaf? Parrots. Okay. Let me explain your logic here. Okay. So Malapart says that because I didn't mention groomers in that list of things, because I was giving examples of people that I couldn't agree with, that because I didn't include groomers specifically in an example, you're saying that I like groomers then. What are you, dude?
Community, we're thinking about you, we're praying for
500 bits
you, and
for
we will
crazy
certainly
and
be rooting
sanity.
for you in the days and weeks to come. Now, I hope that's not the last bit of applause that I get, but we gather at this conference, of course, to discuss security.
I hope AD is going to announce slime GFS for all.
Threats to our external security. I see many great military.
That's the leaflet I was told about. Catch her and she deflects and misrepresents. Dude, just what are you doing? Just oh Lord, where is he? What are you doing? Just get out of here, man. You're retarded.
Military leaders gathered here today.
I banned him. I perma-banned him.
But while the Trump administration is very concerned with European security, and believes that we can come to a
not because I disagree, but because it just doesn't even make sense. Like, what are you even talking about?
reasonable settlement between Russia and Ukraine. And we also believe that it's important in the coming years for Europe to step up in a big way, provide for its own defense. The threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within.
I thought he was going to say something even more cancelable there, especially in Germany.
The retreat of Europe from some of...
Hunter Percival says you ban people who are intellectually dishonest, not ones who disagree. Yes, exactly. Yeah. By the way, I just have another thing to say. There's been a lot of sentiment that I delete comments on YouTube. And I know this is a little hard to understand for people, but YouTube does this on their own. I don't do that. I have never deleted a person's comment for disagreeing with me. I think the only comments I would ever delete are if somebody goes in there and just types a bunch of slurs. I'd probably delete that just because I don't want to get in trouble on YouTube. But I've never deleted a comment because someone disagreed with me. I can say I've literally never deleted a comment.
The United States of America. Now, I was struck that a former European commissioner went on television recently and sounded delighted that the Romanian government had just annulled an entire election. He
I don't want Adderall. Don't.
warned that if things don't go
I heard it's very good for gaming, though.
The very same thing could happen in Germany, too.
Thank you for the bits, Optimistic.
Now, these cavalier statements are shocking to American ears. For years, we've been told that everything we fund and support is in the name of our shared democratic values. Everything from our...
I like that he's bringing in Germany on this, like, rather than just being like, yo, Europe, you're the fucking worst. American #1, get the fuck out. Even though it's true. But he's like, he's basically saying like, yo, we're friends. Like, we're partners. Like, you guys need to get your fucking shit together. Like, let's like go together into like this new future where everybody wins. You know, I like that.
Ukraine policy to digital censorship is billed as a defense of democracy. But when we see European...
He's bringing them in. He's like saying like, you're a part of this.
Courts canceling elections and senior officials threatening to cancel others, we ought to ask whether we're holding ourselves to an appropriately high standard. And I say ourselves because I fundamentally believe that we are on the same team.
Yep, see, exactly. That's what I meant.
We must do more than talk about democratic values. We must live them. Now, within living memory of many of you in this room, the Cold War positioned defenders of democracy against much more tyrannical forces on this continent. And consider...
Dude, I'm not going to lie. I don't know. I don't know if it's just me being influenced by seeing pictures that people have photoshopped, but something about his eyes just makes me... This guy plays a black deck in Magic.
The side in that fight that censored dissidents, that closed churches, that canceled elections. Were they the good guys? Certainly not. And thank God they lost the Cold War.
He's got like the freaking necromancer, you know what I mean? Like the necromancer stare.
They lost because they neither valued nor respected all of the extraordinary blessings of liberty. The freedom to surprise, to make mistakes,
like a wizard or something.
To invent, to build.
Like he's going to jump into that crowd and Eye of Agamotto, everyone.
As it turns out, you can't mandate innovation or creativity, just as you can't force people what to think, what to feel, or what to believe. And we believe those things are certainly connected.
JD Vance in a freaking robe with a necromancer staff.
And unfortunately, when I look at Europe today, it's sometimes not so clear what happened to some of the Cold War's winners. I look to Brussels.
Yeah, I think about that too. Like, did we really win the Cold War? You know? Did we really win? Like, dude, it's like you know, in like games where like there's like enemies that have like a on death trigger. It's like those enemies, like those small little enemy. No, not small. I mean, Russia is obviously not small, but it's like an enemy that like you kill, and right when it dies, it like explodes in like a puff of like poison, and you get poisoned by it. That's what it reminds me of.
Where EU commissars warn citizens that they intend to shut down social media during times of civil unrest, the moment they spot what they've judged to be, quote, hateful content. Or to this very country, where police...
Guys, am I hateful content? Are we hateful content? Fiona, thank you so much for the gift. So thank you. Thank you. Also, guys, just thank you for all the support. I really appreciate it so much. Thank you. It's I really truly am grateful. Thank you.
Have carried out raids against citizens suspected of posting anti-feminist comments online as part of, quote, combating misogyny on the internet, a day of action. I look to Sweden, where 2 weeks ago the government convicted a Christian activist for participating in
we
Quran
hate everyone
burnings.
equally.
I always say that because it just sounds so edgy. I just hate everyone equally.
Resulted in his friend's murder.
It's like I remember there was this quote from this cartoon I watched when I was a kid, and the bad guy. Anybody watch Monster Rancher? There was a bad guy named Golly, and he said, "All's fair in love and war, and I don't believe in love." It's like literally like that.
Participating in Quran burnings that resulted in his friend's murder. And as the judge in his case chillingly noted, Sweden's laws to supposedly protect free expression do not, in fact, grant, and I'm quoting, a free pass to do or say anything without risking offending the group that holds that belief.
I hate how adorable you are. So
That
yes,
is,
I guess we are hateful.
Stupid. Thank you for the best optimistic. Dude, that's so stupid.
And perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very dear friends, the United Kingdom, where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons in particular in the crosshairs. A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an Army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 meters from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes.
Really? This shit better be like 100% true and fucking airtight, because X is gonna shit on him if it's not true. Like, they're 100% gonna community note the fuck out of this if it's not true. It's true.
Not obstructing anyone, not interacting with anyone, just silently praying on his own. And after British law enforcement spotted him and demanded to know what he was praying for, Adam replied simply, it was on behalf of the unborn son he and his former girlfriend had aborted years before. Now, the officers were not moved.
This is why we have a Second Amendment, guys.
Adam was found guilty of breaking the government's new buffer zones law, which criminalizes silent prayer and other actions that could influence a person's decision within 200 meters of an abortion facility.
That's
he was
crazy.
sentenced to pay thousands of pounds in legal costs to the prosecution. Now, I wish I could say that this was a fluke, a one-off crazy example of a badly written law being enacted against a single person, but no. This last October, just a few months ago, the Scottish government began distributing letters to citizens whose houses lay within so-called safe access zones, warning them that even private prayer within their own homes may amount to breaking the law. Naturally, the government urged readers to report any fellow citizens suspected guilty of thought crime. In Britain...
Wait, do they actually call it thought crime?
Across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat. And in the interest of comedy, my friends,
I thought they only do that on the hot tubs section of Twitch. That's crazy.
But also in the interest of truth, I will admit that sometimes the loudest voices for censorship have come not from within Europe, but from within my own country, where the prior administration threatened and bullied social media companies to censor so-called misinformation. Misinformation like, for example, the idea that coronavirus had likely leaked from a laboratory in China. Our own government encouraged private companies to silence people who dared to utter what turned out to be an obvious truth.
That's crazy. Like that part is really crazy that they did that. I remember that. Like, a lot of people actually a lot of people got banned off of YouTube, like a lot of content creators. Isn't that the whole reason why Rumble got really popular? It started to like really like take off was because of this, because a lot of people had to like move to Rumble because they got shitted on by the YouTube.
So I come here today not just with an observation, but with an offer. And just as the Biden administration seemed desperate to silence people for speaking their minds, so the Trump administration will do precisely the opposite, and I hope that we can work together on that. In Washington, there is a new sheriff in town, and under Donald Trump's leadership, we may disagree with your views, but we will fight to defend your right to offer it in the public square, agree or disagree. Now, we're at the point, of course, that the situation has
There are
gotten
people
so bad
not
that
happy
this
in that
December,
crowd.
Romania straight up canceled the results of a presidential election based on the flimsy suspicions of an intelligence agency and enormous pressure from its continental neighbors. Now, as I understand it, the argument was that Russian disinformation had infected the Romanian elections. But I'd ask my European friends to have some perspective. You
Okay.
can believe it's wrong for Russia to buy social media advertisements to influence your elections. We certainly do. You can condemn it on the world stage even.
Dude,
But if you're
didn't that happen in 2016? That there was like a whole scandal with like Russia buying ads on Facebook? And then I remember like people were really mad about that.
Democracy can be destroyed with a few $100,000 of digital advertising from a foreign country, then it wasn't very strong to begin with.
I got to sleep, but happy.
Now, the good news is that I happen to think your democracies are substantially less brittle than many people apparently fear. And I really do believe that allowing our citizens to speak their mind will make them stronger still.
Isn't that bad though? Isn't that bad though? If like you can say that's all it took is freaking. If that's true, if like democracy was over because Russia bought 200K worth of ads, that's really bad. Like that means that shit is really fucked if that's true.
Of course, brings us back where the organizers of this very conference have banned lawmakers representing populist parties on both the left and the right from participating in these conversations. Now, again, we don't have to agree with everything or anything that people say. But when people represent, when political leaders represent an important constituency, it is incumbent upon us to at least participate in dialogue with them. Now, to many of us on the other side of the Atlantic, it looks more and more like old entrenched interests hiding behind ugly Soviet-era words like misinformation and disinformation, who simply don't like the idea that somebody with an alternative viewpoint might express a different opinion or, God forbid, vote a different way or, even worse, win an election. Now, this is a security conference, and I'm sure you all came here prepared to talk about how exactly you intend to increase defense spending over the next few years in line with some new target.
Wait, I have a question. Did Kamala actually do shit like this? Like, did she actually like go to these kind of things and like do speeches? I want to watch if there's like a difference. Like, I really want to see like the difference between it. What did she do? I literally don't know what she did as vice president. And is that just because it wasn't like really televised that much, or like did she actually not do that much?
Because as President Trump has made abundantly clear, he believes that our European friends...
Yeah, because like it's only been like 1 month and this guy is turbo wingmanning. Like for this guy's like taking interviews and all sorts of shit.
...must play a bigger role in the future of this continent. We don't think, you hear this term, burden sharing, but we think it's an important part of being in a shared alliance together that the Europeans step up while America focuses on areas of the world that are in great danger. But let me also ask you.
This guy's literally like...
She was busy spreading joy.
This guy's literally like, yo, I'm tanking, I'm DPSing, where's the heals? Where's my support? What's going on? Can I get a heal? Guys, can I get a little heal, just a little bit? Like, what the fuck? How do I have the highest DPS on the team? I'm tanking. What DPS, what are you guys doing? What are you guys... He's literally like that guy in freaking Marvel Rivals. He's has like the top score. He's like the tank. He's got the highest damage. He's got the high, he's pushing up. He's like doing the line like nobody else is killing anything. And he's just like, guys, what are you doing?
How will you even begin to think through the kinds of budgeting
Because
questions?
I'm playing Cap. I'm healing one Mantis. This chat is brain rotted. I don't like Kamala either. But how does everyone just say no when she gave a speech at the exact same conference? Wait, did she really, Remo? Can you send it to me? I actually want to watch it. Like, actually, for real. I actually want to watch it for real. Yeah, let's see it. I want to see it. I actually want to watch it like later. I really do. Can you guys send it to me? I don't know. That's why I asked, because I don't know.
Know what it is that we're defending in the first place. I've heard a lot already in my
Lincoln live stream chat. Oh, thank you, dude. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You're a legend. You are a legend. Okay, we will watch this like maybe tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Maybe on Sunday or something.
Many great conversations with many people gathered here in this room. I've heard a lot about what you need to defend yourselves from, and of course that's important. But what has seemed a little bit less clear to me and certainly I think to many of the citizens of Europe, is what exactly it is that you're defending yourselves for. What is the positive vision that animates this shared security compact that we all believe is so important? And I believe deeply that there is no security if you are afraid of the voices, the opinions, and the conscience that guide your very own people. Europe faces many challenges, but the crisis this continent faces right now, the crisis I believe we all face together, is one of our own making.
He's got like those, I'll explain it. Like, you know, those like cartoon dog, he's got those cartoon dog eyes, like the dog that's always like kind of grumpy and it's like looking into the distance. It's like kind of quiet. He's got those it's kind of what that reminds me of.
If you're running in fear of your own voters, there is nothing America can do for you. Nor, for that matter, is there anything that you can do for the American people who elected me and elected President Trump. You need democratic mandates to accomplish anything of value in the coming years. Have we learned nothing that thin mandates produce unstable results? But there is so much of value that can be accomplished with the kind of democratic mandate that I think will come from being more responsive to the voices of your citizens.
Yep.
If you're going to enjoy competitive economies, if you're going to enjoy affordable energy and secure supply chains, then you need mandates to govern, because you have to make difficult choices to enjoy all of these things. And of course, we know that very well in America. You cannot win a democratic mandate by censoring your opponents or putting them in jail, whether that's the leader of the opposition, a humble Christian praying in her own home, or a journalist trying to report the news. Nor can you win one by disregarding your basic electorate on questions like who gets to be a part of our shared society. And of all the pressing challenges that the nations represented here face, I believe there is nothing more urgent than mass migration. Today, almost 1 in 5 people living in this country moved here from abroad. That is, of course, an all-time.
He's going all in.
High.
He's going
It's
all in.
a similar number, by the way, in the United States, also an all-time high. The number of immigrants who entered the EU from non-EU countries doubled between 2021 and 2022 alone, and of course it's gotten much higher since. And we know this situation, it didn't materialize in a vacuum. It's the result of a series of conscious decisions made by politicians all over the continent and others across the world over the span of a decade. We saw the horrors wrought by these decisions yesterday in this very city. And of course, I can't bring it up again without thinking about...
Wait, what happened? Wait, the horrors that... Wait, what happened? Did something happen? Car of peace. Oh, a car. I see. A car of peace. I see.
The terrible victims who had a beautiful winter day in Munich ruined.
Oh, he's going to talk about
Our thoughts and prayers are with them and will remain with them.
Wait, how many people?
But why did this happen in the first place?
Wait, this was the... Oh, it was that one. It was that old one. It was that old one with the market, like the Christmas market. No, there's a new one that happened yesterday.
It's a terrible story, but it's one we've heard way too many times in Europe and unfortunately too many times in the United States as well. An asylum seeker, often a young man in his mid-20s, already known to police, rams a car into a crowd and shatters a community. How many times must we suffer these appalling setbacks before we change course and take our shared civilization in a new direction? No voter on this continent went to the ballot box to open the floodgates to millions of unvetted immigrants. But you know what
some people did?
They did vote for. In England, they voted for Brexit, and agree or disagree, they voted for it. And more all over Europe, they're voting for political leaders who promise to put an end to out-of-control migration. Now, I happen to agree with a lot of these concerns, but you don't have to agree with me. I just think that people care about their homes, they care about their dreams, they care about their safety and their capacity to provide for themselves and their children. And they're smart. I think this is one of the most important things I've learned in my brief time in politics. Contrary to what you might hear a couple mountains over in Davos, The citizens of all of our nations don't generally think of themselves as educated animals or as interchangeable cogs of a global economy. As educated animals or as interchangeable cogs.
Sam Hyde mentioned? I knew it sounded familiar. Is that where that's from?
Animals or as interchangeable cogs of a global economy. And it's hardly surprising that they don't want to be shuffled about or relentlessly ignored by their leaders. And it is the business of democracy to adjudicate these big questions at the ballot box. I believe that dismissing people, dismissing their concerns, or worse yet, shutting down media, shutting down elections, or shutting people out of the political process protects nothing. In fact, it is the most surefire way to destroy democracy. And speaking up and expressing opinions isn't election interference. Even when people express views outside your own country, and even when those people are very influential. And trust me, I say this with all humor, if American democracy can survive 10 years of Greta Thunberg's scolding, you guys can survive a few months of Elon Musk. Of Greta Thunberg.
Oh my God, he's like, hey, we had to deal with Greta Thunberg, so I don't want to fucking hear shit from you guys. True, man, we did have to deal with that, dude. She came over here and she just bitched and bitched and bitched. That's all she did.
Thunberg
oh my God.
Scolding, you guys.
I have a friend, wait, she's from Sweden, right? Am I correct? Greta Thunberg is from Sweden, right? I have a friend from Sweden, and we always blame him for it. Like whenever we're like playing games and stuff, we always blame him for because he's from Sweden. Like, yeah, man, whatever. You gave us Greta Thunberg. Don't want to hear it. And then my other friend goes, "How dare you?"
Can survive a few months of Elon Musk.
My future. How dare you? It's all Boone's fault.
But what German democracy?
We played with him yesterday.
No democracy, American, German, will survive, is telling millions of voters that their thoughts and concerns, their aspirations, their pleas for relief are invalid or unworthy of even being considered. Democracy rests on the sacred principle that the voice of the people matters. There's no room for firewalls. You either uphold the principle or you don't. Europeans, the people, have a voice. European leaders have a choice. And my strong
bars
have a voice. Don't. Europeans, the people, have a voice. European leaders have a choice. And my strong belief
I know what my next song is going to be. My next song has to have that in it.
Is that we do not need to be afraid of the future. You can embrace what your people tell you, even when it's surprising, even when you don't agree. And if you do so, you can face the future with certainty and with confidence, knowing that the nation stands behind each of you. And that, to me, is the great magic of democracy. It's not in these stone buildings or beautiful hotels. It's not even in the great institutions that we have built together as a shared society. To believe in democracy is to understand that each of our citizens has wisdom and has a voice. And if we refuse to listen to that voice, even our most successful fights will secure very little. As Pope John Paul II, in my view, one of the most extraordinary champions of democracy on this continent or any other, once said, I'm not
gonna lie, I don't know any of the popes. They all have the same name, usually. There's a lot that have the same name. I don't know who's who.
Not be afraid. We shouldn't be afraid of our people, even when they express views that disagree with their leadership. Thank you all. Good luck to all of you. God bless you.
Leaflit salute.
That was a pretty good speech. Actually, it's going to be really interesting to contrast that with Kamala's later. Which we'll watch on Sunday. But I mean, he makes a lot of good points. I think it's very obvious that and I mean, this is literally what Russia said. Their whole strategy was to win ideologically and destroy things from within. Back in the the USSR era, that was the whole point. And again, there's talks that we can watch about that. But that was their entire strat, was to take over the ideology. That's usually how they win. You get in there, you censor everything, and then you basically force an ideology upon young people. Those young people grow up, they become the new professors, they become the new thought leaders, and then they distill that information down the line. And yeah, that's kind of how it goes. Basically having all of the physical force in the world, useless if you don't allow good ideas to have a chance to actually like be out there. And yeah, that's exactly what's been going on.